Hello, English learners. Welcome back to Daily English Talks. I'm Mia, and today I have something very special for all of you who are just starting your journey to speak English with confidence. Whether you're learning English for school, travel, work, or just for fun, this video will help you learn and practice 150 basic English phrases that are useful in many different situations. These are the kinds of phrases people use every single day. In real conversations, at home, at work, at the store, and while meeting new people. So, if you're ready to begin your English speaking practice, stay with me till the end. By the time we finish, you'll feel much more comfortable using English in your daily life. Let's begin by learning some of the most common greetings and introductions you can use when meeting someone new. These simple phrases help you start conversations in a friendly and natural way. When you meet someone for the first time, you can say, "Hi, my name is Mia," or simply, "Hello, I'm Mia." You can also ask, "What's your name?" This is a very polite and common way to start a conversation. If someone asks you your name, you can say, "I'm Alex," or "My name is Alex." If you want to sound even more friendly, you can add, "Nice to meet you." So a short and natural conversation could be, "Hi, I'm Mia. What's your name?" And the other person might respond, "I'm Alex. Nice to meet you." You could reply, "Nice to meet you too." These little exchanges are a great way to make new friends or introduce yourself in a classroom or a workplace. Now let's practice with a short conversation. Imagine you are meeting someone at a party. You can say, "Hi, I'm Sarah." The other person says, "Hi, Sarah, I'm John. Nice to meet you." And you reply, "Nice to meet you too, John." Practice this a few times with different names. It will help you get comfortable with introductions. These kinds of small conversations happen all the time, and they help you feel more confident when speaking English. Moving on, let's look at how to ask someone how they are. After saying hello or introducing yourself, it's common to ask, "How are you?" or "How are you doing?" Both are polite and show that you care about the person. Some other ways to ask the same thing are, "How's it going?" or "What's up?" These are more casual and are often used with friends. You can respond by saying, "I'm good, thank you," or "I'm fine, thanks. How about you?" If someone says, "How are you?" and you're feeling great, you can say, "I'm doing great," or "I'm fantastic." If you're not feeling well, you might say, "I'm a little tired," or "I've been better." It's okay to be honest in these conversations. And the more you practice, the more natural it will feel. Let's do another quick practice together. Imagine this short exchange. "Hi, how are you?" And the answer is, "I'm fine, thank you. And you?" Then you hear, "I'm good, thanks." Practice saying both sides of the conversation out loud. It helps to repeat the phrases several times to make your mouth and brain remember the words together. If you practice like this every day, your English will improve very quickly. Next, let's talk about phrases you can use when you're leaving or saying goodbye. Saying goodbye is just as important as saying hello. Some basic ways to say goodbye are goodbye, bye, see you later, or take care. These are all friendly and polite. If you know when you'll see the person again, you can say, "See you tomorrow," or "See you next week." If it's the end of the day, you might say, "Good night." In a work setting, people often say, "Have a nice day," or "Take care." These are small phrases, but they leave a good impression and show respect. Let's practice a goodbye conversation. Imagine you've just finished talking to a friend. You can say, "It was nice talking to you. I have to go now. See you later." Your friend replies, "Okay, see you. Take care." Practicing short dialogues like this helps you feel more comfortable in real situations. Try saying it with your own name and change the words a little bit each time. Now let's move on to talking about everyday activities. These are phrases you can use to describe what you're doing in your daily life. For example, in the morning you might say, "I wake up at 7 a.m.," or "I brush my teeth and take a shower." When you talk about breakfast, you can say, "I usually eat eggs and toast," or "I drink coffee in the morning." These sentences help you build vocabulary and confidence. Think about your daily routine and try to describe it in English. You can say, "I go to work at 9," or "I study English in the afternoon." You can also use the present simple tense to describe your habits, such as "I read books," or "I watch TV in the evening." Let's do a short practice. I will describe my day, and you can try to repeat it and then describe your own. I wake up at 6:30. I make my bed. I take a shower. Then I have breakfast and drink some tea. After that, I go to work. I come home in the evening, cook dinner, and watch a movie. Now try to say a few things about your own daily routine. Even if it's simple, practicing like this every day will help you get better and better. Let's continue with some common phrases you can use when you're shopping. When you go to a store, it's useful to know how to ask for help or ask about prices. You can say, "Excuse me, where can I find the milk?" Or, "Can you help me, please?" If you want to know the price of something, you can ask, "How much is this?" Or, "What's the price of this shirt?" If something is too expensive, you can say, "That's too expensive for me." Or, "Do you have something cheaper?" When you decide to buy something, you can say, "I'll take this," or "I want to buy this one." At the checkout, the cashier might ask, "Cash or card?" And you can reply, "Card, please," or "I'll pay with cash." Here's a short shopping conversation to practice. "Excuse me, how much is this sweater?" The shop assistant says, "It's $25. You say, "Okay, I'll take it." And the assistant asks, "Will you pay with cash or card?" You reply, "With card, please." Practicing these conversations out loud helps you remember the words more clearly and prepares you for real-life situations. Let's look at phrases for eating at a restaurant. When you walk into a restaurant, you can say, "Table for two, please," or "Can we see the menu?" When the waiter comes, you might say, "I'd like the chicken, please," or "Can I have the soup?" If you're not sure what to choose, you can ask, "What do you recommend?" After eating, you can say, "Can we have the bill, please?" or "Check, please." These simple phrases are very helpful when eating out. If you like the food, you can say, "The food was delicious," or "That was really good." Let's practice a short restaurant conversation. "Hi, I'd like a burger and fries, please." The waiter says, "Would you like a drink with that?" You reply, "Yes, a cola, please." After eating, you say, "Can we have the bill?" And the waiter replies, "Of course, here you go." These small exchanges are great to learn and repeat daily. Let's now talk about basic phrases you can use when you're traveling. Traveling brings many opportunities to speak English, whether you're in a taxi, at the airport, or asking for directions. First, let's look at some phrases you can use at the airport. If you're checking in for a flight, you can say, "I'd like to check in, please," or "Here is my passport and ticket." The agent might ask you, "Do you have any luggage?" And you can respond, "Yes, I have one suitcase." If you need help finding something, you can ask, "Where is gate number 5?" Or, "Can you help me find the restroom?" These short and polite questions are very helpful when you're in a new place. Let's practice a short airport conversation. "Good morning, I'd like to check in for my flight." The agent replies, "Sure." "May I have your passport?" You say, "Yes, here it is." The agent then says, "Do you have any bags to check?" And you reply, "Just one suitcase." These small conversations are very useful when you're traveling, especially to English-speaking countries. Now let's look at what you might say in a taxi or when using public transportation. If you're in a taxi, you can say, "Can you take me to the train station, please?" Or, "How much does it cost to go to the airport?" These questions help you get where you need to go. On a bus or a train, you might ask, "Does this bus go to downtown?" Or, "Where should I get off?" You can also say, "I'd like a ticket to Central Station." These are simple, polite ways to ask for help and get information. Here's another practice. Imagine you're in a new city and you need directions. You can say, "Excuse me, how do I get to the museum?" Or, "Can you show me the way to the hotel?" The other person might say, "Go straight and turn left," or "It's about 10 minutes from here." These are great phrases to practice because they help you communicate in new environments. Try saying them out loud a few times. Let's move on to phrases you can use in a hotel. When you arrive at a hotel, you can say, "I have a reservation," or "I'd like to book a room." The receptionist might ask, "For how many nights?" And you can say, "For 2 nights, please." You may also hear, "Can I see your ID, please?" And you can respond, "Of course, here it is." If you need something in your room, you can say, "Can I have an extra towel?" Or, "The air conditioner is not working." Being able to say these simple sentences makes your stay more comfortable. Let's try a hotel conversation. "Good evening, I have a reservation under the name Mia." The receptionist replies, "Welcome." "May I see your ID, please?" You say, "Sure, here you go." Then they ask, "How many nights will you be staying?" And you reply, "2 nights." Practicing dialogues like this can help you feel more confident when you travel. Now let's look at common phrases used at work or in a professional setting. If you are starting a new job or internship, you may want to say, "Nice to meet you. I'm the new employee," or "I'm excited to work with you." If you need help from a coworker, you can ask, "Can you help me with this?" Or, "I'm not sure how to do this. Can you explain it to me?" If you want to sound polite, you can say, "Excuse me," or "May I ask a question?" It's also common to say, "Thank you for your help," or "I really appreciate it." Let's practice a workplace conversation. "Hi, I'm new here. My name is Mia." A coworker replies, "Nice to meet you, Mia." "Welcome to the team." You say, "Thank you. I'm happy to be here." These kinds of simple phrases are often used when starting in a new environment. Try using different names and situations to make your practice more useful. Let's move on to talking about how to ask for things politely. In English, we often use polite language to make our requests sound more friendly. For example, instead of saying, "Give me water," you can say, "Could I have some water, please?" Or, "Can you help me, please?" Using words like please and thank you shows good manners and helps you sound more natural. You can also say, "Would you mind helping me?" Or, "Is it okay if I sit here?" These phrases are polite and respectful, and they are very important in English-speaking cultures. Let's practice. Imagine you're in a coffee shop. Instead of saying, "I want coffee," you can say, "Could I get a cup of coffee, please?" The barista says, "Sure." "Anything else?" And you reply, "No, thank you." This is a polite and friendly way to order something. Now let's talk about some phrases you can use when you're feeling emotions or talking about your feelings. If you're happy, you can say, "I'm feeling great today," or "I'm really happy." If you're tired, you can say, "I'm a little tired," or "I need some rest." If you're sad, you can say, "I'm not feeling so good," or "I'm having a bad day." These are good ways to talk about your feelings in a simple and honest way. If someone asks you, "Are you okay?" and you want to talk, you can say, "I'm just feeling a little down." If you don't want to talk, you can say, "I'm fine, thank you." Knowing how to express your emotions is important in everyday life. Let's practice. "Hi, Mia, how are you?" You reply, "I'm feeling a bit tired today, but I'm okay." Or you might say, "I am so excited. I have some good news." These phrases are natural and help you connect with others in conversations. Let's move on to making plans and talking about the future. When you want to meet someone, you can say, "Do you want to hang out this weekend?" Or, "Let's meet for lunch tomorrow." You can also say, "Are you free on Friday?" Or, "Can we talk later?" These phrases are useful for making plans with friends or coworkers. If you agree to a plan, you can say, "Sounds good," or "That works for me." If you can't make it, you can say, "I'm sorry, I can't," or "I'm busy that day." These simple phrases make it easy to arrange your schedule in English. Let's try a conversation. "Hey Mia, are you free this Saturday?" And you say, "Yes, I am." "What's up?" The friend says, "Let's go to the park." And you reply, "Sounds great." This is a friendly and natural way to make plans with others. Now let's look at how to talk about your daily routine using basic phrases. When someone asks you about your day, you can say, "I wake up at 7 a.m." or "I go to work at 9 in the morning." You can continue with, "I usually have lunch at noon," and "I get home around 6 in the evening." You can also say things like, "I cook dinner every night," or "I go to bed at 10 p.m." These are simple but very useful phrases to describe your everyday schedule. Being able to describe your routine is a great way to start small talk or answer questions in conversations. Let's practice. Try to describe your own day out loud. For example, "I wake up at 6:30, then I brush my teeth and take a shower. After that, I eat breakfast and leave for work at 8. Try saying this with your real times and activities. It will help you practice speaking about your day naturally. Let's now move to the topic of shopping. Shopping is another everyday situation where basic English phrases are very useful. When you go into a store, you can say, "Excuse me, where can I find the milk?" Or, "Do you have this in a smaller size?" If you are ready to buy something, you can say, "I'll take this, please," or "How much is this?" If you are just looking, you can say, I am just looking, thank you. These are very common and polite ways to speak to store employees. You can also ask, can I try this on? If you are in a clothing store, here's a short practice. Imagine you're shopping for clothes. You say, hi, do you have this shirt in medium? And the shopkeeper replies, let me check for you. You can say, thank you. Then they say, here you go. And you reply, perfect, I'll take it. Practicing these kinds of short conversations helps you prepare for real situations in stores. Now let's talk about visiting a doctor or clinic. If you are not feeling well and you go to the doctor, you can say, I'm not feeling well, or I have a headache. The doctor might ask, how long have you felt this way? And you can answer, since yesterday, or for 2 days. You might also say, I have a sore throat, or I'm feeling very tired. These simple health phrases help the doctor understand what you are experiencing. Let's try a doctor visit conversation. The doctor says, what brings you in today? And you say, I have a stomach ache. The doctor asks, when did it start? And you reply, last night. Then the doctor might say, I'll check your temperature. These short sentences help you explain your health and understand instructions. Let's now look at talking about hobbies and interests. This is a great topic to help you connect with others. You can say, I enjoy reading, or I like playing soccer. You can also say, I love watching movies, or I'm interested in photography. If someone asks you, what do you like to do in your free time? You can reply, I like listening to music and spending time with my friends. These are all great ways to express your interests and keep a conversation going. Let's practice. A friend says, what do you like to do on weekends? And you say, I usually go for a walk or read a book. They say, that sounds relaxing, and you can reply, yes, I really enjoy it. Talking about your hobbies helps people get to know you better. Now let's look at how to give directions. This is useful when someone asks you for help on the street. You can say, go straight, or turn left at the next light. You can also say, it's on your right, or it's across from the bank. If you don't know the answer, you can say, I'm sorry, I'm not sure. These phrases help you be helpful and polite. Let's practice giving directions. Someone asks, excuse me, how do I get to the library? You say, go straight for 2 blocks, then turn right. The library is next to the school. These types of sentences are easy to learn and very useful. Let's move to talking about the weather. Weather is a very common topic in small talk. You can say, it's sunny today, or it's raining outside. You can also say, it's really hot, or it's a bit chilly. If someone asks, how's the weather? You can reply, it's nice and warm, or it's cold and windy today. Talking about the weather is a great way to start a conversation, or respond politely. Try this practice. A person says, nice weather today, isn't it? And you reply, yes, it's so sunny. I love it. These small conversations are great for daily life. Now let's explore some useful phrases when using the phone. Phone calls can be a little scary when you're learning English, but simple phrases help a lot. You can start with, hello, this is Mia speaking, or hi, may I speak to John, please? If the person is not available, you can say, can I leave a message? Or please tell him I called. These phrases make phone conversations smoother and easier. Let's try a phone practice. You say, "Hello, is this Mr. Smith?" And the person says, "Yes, speaking." You reply, "Hi, this is Mia. I'm calling about our meeting tomorrow." This is a natural and polite way to speak on the phone. Let's now talk about basic English phrases you can use at restaurants or cafes. When you walk into a restaurant, you can say, "Table for two, please," or "Can we sit over there?" When the server comes to take your order, you can say, "I'll have the chicken sandwich," or "Can I get the pasta, please?" If you're not ready to order yet, you can say, "Can we have a few more minutes?" After eating, you can say, "Can I have the bill, please?" Or, "The food was delicious, thank you." These simple phrases help you have a smooth and polite dining experience. You can also use expressions like, "Could we get some water, please?" Or, "Do you have any vegetarian options?" These are all useful in many food-related situations. Whether you're eating out or ordering in, let's practice a short restaurant dialogue. You say, "Hello, table for two, please." The server says, "Of course, right this way." You sit down and look at the menu. The server asks, "Are you ready to order?" You say, "Yes, I'll have the grilled chicken and a lemonade, please." The server replies, "Great choice. I'll be back with your drinks." Practicing this kind of conversation helps you speak more naturally when you go out to eat. Now let's look at phrases for expressing opinions. It's important to be able to share what you think in a polite and simple way. You can say, "I think this movie is great," or "I don't like that song." If you agree with someone, you can say, "I agree," or "That's true." If you don't agree, you can say, "I'm not sure about that," or "I see it differently." These phrases are useful in conversations with friends, or in discussions at work or school. Being able to express yourself helps build better conversations and connections. Let's practice. A friend says, "I think pizza is the best food," and you say, "I agree. It's really tasty." Or maybe you say, "I like it, but I prefer pasta." These kinds of exchanges help you express your thoughts clearly and respectfully. Now let's talk about asking for and giving help. If you need help, you can say, "Can you help me, please?" Or, "I need some help with this." If someone asks you for help, you can reply, "Sure, what do you need?" Or, "Of course, I'd be happy to help." These phrases are polite and make everyday communication smoother and more friendly. Helping and asking for help is something that happens in school, at work, or even at home. Try this practice. Someone says, "Can you help me carry these bags?" And you say, "Sure, no problem." Or someone says, "I don't understand this," and you reply, "Let me explain it to you." Helping others and asking for help are important parts of daily communication. Let's now look at phrases for making and accepting invitations. If you want to invite someone, you can say, "Would you like to come to my party?" Or, "Do you want to join us for dinner?" If someone invites you, you can reply, "I'd love to, thank you," or "That sounds great." If you can't go, you can say, "I'm sorry, I can't make it," or "Maybe another time." These phrases are important for social situations and building friendships. Let's practice. A friend says, "Do you want to come over for a movie night?" You say, "Yes, I'd love to." "What time should I come?" These kinds of conversations are simple, friendly, and help build connections. Now, let's move on to talking about family. You can use phrases like, I have one brother and two sisters. Or, my parents live in another city. You can also say, I'm married, or I have a son. When someone asks you about your family, these are great ways to share a little about yourself. You can also ask questions like, do you have any siblings? Or, what does your father do? To learn more about others. Try this practice. You say, I live with my parents and my younger sister. A friend says, that's nice. Do you have a big family? You reply, not really, just the four of us. Talking about family is a common and comfortable topic for conversations. Let's talk now about describing people. This helps you give details when talking about others. You can say, she is tall and has long hair, or he wears glasses and has a kind smile. You can also describe personality with phrases like, she's very friendly, or he's a little shy. These help you describe friends, coworkers, or people you meet. Practice this by thinking about someone you know. Try saying out loud, my friend is funny and always makes me laugh, or my teacher is strict but very helpful. The more you practice, the easier it will be to describe people clearly. Now let's look at phrases used when shopping online or making appointments. If you're booking something online, you might say, I'd like to book an appointment, or can I schedule a meeting? If you're shopping online, you can say, I want to buy this, or is this available in my size? You might also ask, how long does delivery take? Or can I return this item? These are helpful for digital communication. Let's practice a short online shopping situation. You say, hello, I'd like to return an item I bought online. The customer service person says, sure. Can I have your order number? You say, yes, it's 123456. These small exchanges are useful when communicating on websites or apps. Let's now go over some phrases for showing gratitude and appreciation. When someone helps you, it's nice to say, thank you so much, or I really appreciate it. You can also say, thanks a lot, or that means a lot to me. When someone thanks you, a good reply is, you're welcome, or no problem. These polite phrases make interactions warmer and more respectful. Let's practice. A friend says, thanks for helping me with my homework, and you reply, you're welcome. Anytime. These small phrases can have a big impact on how friendly and kind your conversations feel. Let's now talk about dealing with problems or complaints. Sometimes things go wrong, and it's helpful to know how to express yourself. You can say, there's a problem with my order, or I didn't receive the item I paid for. If something breaks, you can say, my phone isn't working, or this machine is not working properly. If you're in a restaurant, you can say, excuse me, this isn't what I ordered, or the food is cold. These phrases help you explain the problem clearly and politely. Practice this. You say, excuse me, the air conditioner in my room isn't working. The hotel staff says, I'm sorry. We'll send someone to fix it. These polite but clear sentences are very helpful in daily life when things don't go as planned. Let's now talk about basic English phrases for making phone calls. Speaking on the phone can feel more difficult because you can't see the other person's face. But don't worry. With practice, it gets easier. When answering the phone, you can say, hello, this is Mia speaking, or simply, hello? If you're calling someone, you can say, hi, may I speak to John, please? Or, is this a good time to talk? These phrases help you start the call politely and clearly. When you can't hear someone well, you can say, "Sorry, could you repeat that?" Or, "I didn't catch that." If you need to pause the call, you can say, "Can you hold on a moment?" Or, "I'll call you back in a few minutes." And when ending a call, you can say, "Thank you for calling," or "Talk to you soon." These polite and clear sentences are very helpful for everyday phone calls. Let's practice a short phone call. You say, "Hello, this is Mia. May I speak to Alex?" The person replies, "Hi Mia, this is Alex." You say, "Great. I just wanted to confirm our meeting time." They say, "Sure, we're still on for 3 p.m. You respond, "Perfect, see you then." Practicing conversations like this can help build confidence in phone communication. Now let's talk about phrases for expressing emotions. It's important to be able to talk about how you feel. You can say, "I'm happy today," or "I feel tired." If you're feeling sick, you might say, "I'm not feeling well," or "I have a headache." When you're excited, you can say, "I'm really looking forward to this," or "I can't wait." These are great ways to share your feelings with others. Let's try a quick practice. You say, "I feel a little nervous about the interview." A friend replies, "That's okay. You'll do great." Or you say, "I'm so happy it's the weekend." And someone replies, "Me too. I needed a break." These simple emotional expressions help create deeper and more real conversations. Next, we'll look at phrases for talking about your daily routine. Talking about your routine helps others get to know you and gives you a chance to practice using the present simple tense. You can say, "I wake up at 7 a.m." or "I go to work by bus." You can also say, "I eat lunch at noon," and "I go to bed around 10. These phrases are common and very useful in everyday conversations. Let's practice talking about your routine. You say, "I usually wake up at 6:30, take a shower, and have breakfast." A friend asks, "What do you eat for breakfast?" You say, "I usually eat toast and eggs." These conversations help you talk about your habits and build confidence in using English regularly. Let's move on to phrases for traveling. If you're traveling, you might need to ask for directions or talk about transport. You can say, "Where is the nearest train station?" or "How much is a ticket to the city center?" You can also ask, "Does this bus go to the airport?" or "What time does the next train leave?" These phrases are especially useful if you are visiting a new place. Try this practice. You say, "Excuse me, how do I get to the museum?" A local replies, "Go straight and turn left at the second traffic light." You say, "Thank you so much." This kind of interaction helps you communicate clearly and politely when traveling. Now let's talk about basic health-related phrases. If you are not feeling well, or if you are visiting a doctor, it's important to express your symptoms. You can say, "I have a fever," or "I feel dizzy." You can also say, "My stomach hurts," or "I think I caught a cold." If you're at the doctor's office, they might ask, "How long have you been feeling this way?" And you can reply, "Since yesterday." Let's practice. You say, "Doctor, I've had a headache for 2 days." The doctor says, "Do you have any other symptoms?" You reply, "Yes, I also feel tired." This helps you prepare for real medical conversations. Now, let's review some common phrases for celebrations and special occasions. When someone has a birthday, you can say, "Happy birthday." If someone is getting married, you can say, "Congratulations." For holidays, you can say, "Merry Christmas" or "Happy New Year." These short, cheerful phrases help you join in on joyful moments. Practice by saying, "Congratulations on your new job," or "Happy anniversary." Using these phrases makes you sound friendly and thoughtful and helps you connect with others in positive situations. Let's now focus on phrases used in emergencies. If there's an emergency, it's important to stay calm and use clear language. You can say, "Call the police," or "I need help." If someone is hurt, you can say, "Call an ambulance," or "He's not breathing." If you lose something important, you can say, "I lost my passport," or "My bag has been stolen." Knowing these phrases can be very helpful and even life-saving. Let's practice a short emergency scenario. You say, "Help! I can't find my friend." A security guard says, "When did you last see them?" You reply, "About 10 minutes ago near the entrance." These types of conversations help you be more prepared for unexpected situations. Now let's go through some casual small talk phrases. Small talk helps you start a conversation and get to know someone. You can say, "Nice weather today, isn't it?" Or, "How was your weekend?" Other simple topics include, "Have you seen any good movies lately?" Or, "I like your shirt." These phrases are light, friendly, and easy to use. Let's try a short practice. You say, "Hi, how's your day going?" The other person says, "Pretty good, thanks. And you?" You reply, "Not bad." Just working. This type of small talk is great for starting conversations in a relaxed way. Finally, for this part, let's talk about encouragement and motivation phrases. These can help others feel better or push them to keep going. You can say, "You can do it," or "Don't give up." If someone is nervous, you can say, "Just do your best," or "I believe in you." These short phrases are powerful and supportive. Try this quick practice. A friend says, "I don't think I can finish this assignment." You reply, "You can do it." Just take it one step at a time. Using positive phrases like these makes you a good friend and a strong communicator. Now let's explore phrases related to time and schedules. Talking about time is something we do every day. You might hear or say things like, "What time is it?" or "It's 3:15." You can also say, "The meeting is at 10 a.m." or "Let's meet at noon." When asking about someone's availability, you might say, "Are you free this afternoon?" or "Do you have time tomorrow?" These are essential for planning and organizing your day with others. Let's do a quick practice. You ask, "What time does the movie start?" Your friend says, "At 7:30 p.m." You reply, "Great. Let's meet at 7." Being able to talk about time helps you be more prepared and organized, and it's something you'll use every day. Now let's go over some phrases for shopping. Whether you're at a market or in a store, these expressions are very helpful. You can say, "How much does this cost?" or "Can I try this on?" If you like something, you might say, "I'll take it," or "Do you have this in a different color?" When you want to be polite, you can say, "Excuse me, where is the fitting room?" or "Could you help me, please?" These are very common and useful phrases for shopping situations. Let's practice a simple shopping conversation. You say, "Excuse me, how much is this shirt?" The salesperson says, "It's $15." You ask, "Do you have it in blue?" They reply, "Yes, let me check." You say, "Thank you." Practicing like this makes you feel more confident when you go shopping in English-speaking places. Next, let's focus on asking and giving opinions. When you want to express your thoughts, you can say, "I think this movie is great," or, "In my opinion, it's too expensive." You can also ask others by saying, "What do you think?" or "Do you agree?" When you agree with someone, say, "I agree with you," or "That's true." If you don't agree, say, "I see it differently," or "I'm not sure about that." These phrases help you join discussions and express your ideas clearly. Let's practice. You say, "I think this restaurant is really good." Your friend replies, "Yes, I agree. The food is tasty." Or you say, "In my opinion, we should leave early to avoid traffic." Your friend says, "I see your point." That's a good idea. This kind of exchange helps build your ability to share ideas politely and confidently. Now let's talk about weather phrases. Talking about the weather is one of the easiest ways to start a conversation. You can say, "It's sunny today," or "It's raining outside." You might also say, "It's really hot," or "It's freezing cold." If you want to ask someone, you can say, "What's the weather like?" or "Is it going to rain today?" These phrases are easy and very common in everyday conversations. Let's practice. You say, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" A friend says, "Yes, the sun is shining." Or you say, "Looks like it's going to rain." And someone replies, "I better take an umbrella." Weather talk is a good way to connect with people and practice simple English. Now, let's move on to phrases used at the restaurant or cafe. When you go out to eat, you might need to speak with a waiter or place an order. You can say, "I'd like a table for two, please." Or, "Can I see the menu?" When you're ready to order, you can say, "I'll have the chicken sandwich." Or, "Can I get a coffee, please?" If something is wrong, you can say, "Excuse me, this isn't what I ordered." When you're finished, say, "Can I have the bill, please?" Or, "That was delicious, thank you." Let's practice a restaurant dialogue. You say, "Hi, I'd like a table for two." The waiter says, "Right this way." You sit down and say, "Can I see the menu, please?" Later you say, "I'll have the pasta and a glass of water." The waiter replies, "Of course." These phrases help you enjoy dining out with ease and confidence. Let's now talk about phrases related to hobbies and free time. When talking about your interests, you might say, "I like reading," or "I enjoy playing football." You can also say, "My favorite hobby is painting," or "In my free time, I like to cook." When asking someone, you can say, "What do you like to do in your free time?" Or, "Do you have any hobbies?" These are great ways to connect and learn more about others. Practice a quick conversation. You say, "In my free time, I enjoy gardening." Your friend replies, "That sounds relaxing." "I like to play the guitar." These simple conversations help build relationships and improve your speaking skills at the same time. Next, let's explore phrases for using public transportation. If you're taking a bus or a train, you can ask, "Does this bus go to downtown?" Or, "Where can I buy a ticket?" You can also say, "How long does the ride take?" Or, "Is this seat taken?" These are useful for getting around in a city or traveling to a new place. Practice by saying, "Excuse me, does this train stop at Central Station?" A fellow passenger says, "Yes, it's the next stop. You say thank you. These helpful exchanges can make your travel smoother and less stressful. Now let's look at phrases for job interviews. If you're going to a job interview, you might be asked, "Can you tell me about yourself?" Or, "Why do you want to work here?" You can answer by saying, "I'm a hardworking and reliable person," or, "I'm interested in this job because it matches my skills." You may also hear, "What are your strengths?" or, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Preparing these phrases helps you feel more confident and professional. Let's practice. The interviewer says, "Why should we hire you?" You reply, "Because I'm motivated and I'm eager to learn new things." These common phrases will help you succeed in interviews and leave a good impression. Let's now go over common phrases used when you're feeling sick or visiting a doctor. These phrases are helpful in explaining how you feel or understanding what the doctor is saying. You can say, "I don't feel well," or "I have a headache." You might also say, "My stomach hurts," or "I think I have a fever." If you're at a clinic, you can say, "I need to see a doctor," or "Can I make an appointment?" These phrases can help you explain your symptoms and get the help you need. Let's practice a situation at the doctor's office. You say, "Hello, I have a sore throat and a cough." The nurse asks, "How long have you been feeling this way?" You reply, "About 3 days." Then the doctor comes in and says, "Let me check your temperature." These types of conversations are essential. If you ever get sick and need medical help in an English-speaking environment, now let's move on to phrases used when you're learning something or in a classroom setting. You can say, "I don't understand," or "Can you explain that again?" If you want help, you might say, "Could you help me, please?" Or, "How do you say this in English?" If you're doing group work, you can say, "Let's work together," or "What do you think about this idea?" In class, a teacher might say, "Please open your books," or "Let's start with today's lesson." These are everyday phrases you'll hear and use when learning English. Let's practice a classroom conversation. The teacher says, "Today we are learning about adjectives." You ask, "What is an adjective?" The teacher replies, "It's a word that describes a noun." You say, "Thank you, that helps a lot." These classroom exchanges will support your progress as a learner and give you more confidence in learning environments. Next, let's look at phrases for using a phone. When answering the phone, you can say, "Hello," or "Good morning, this is Mia speaking." If you want to ask for someone, say, "May I speak to John, please?" Or, "Is Sarah there?" If the person is not available, you might hear, "I'm sorry, she's not here right now. Can I take a message?" Or you could say, "Can you call me back later?" These phrases are very helpful in phone conversations, both formal and informal. Let's practice. You say, "Hi, can I speak to Anna?" The person replies, "She's not available right now. Would you like to leave a message?" You say, "Yes, please tell her Mia called." This type of dialogue is simple, but essential in everyday phone calls. Now, let's go through phrases for emergencies, or when you need help quickly. In urgent situations, you might say, "Help," or "Call the police." You can also say, "I need an ambulance," or "There's been an accident." If you are lost, say, "Can you help me find this address?" Or, "I'm lost. Can you show me the way?" These phrases are vital for your safety, and knowing them can make a big difference in an emergency. Practice this scenario. You say, "Excuse me, I need help. My friend is hurt." A person responds, "I'll call an ambulance." You say, "Thank you so much." Being able to communicate during emergencies can keep you and others safe. Let's now discuss phrases for giving and receiving directions. You can ask, "How do I get to the train station?" Or, "Can you show me the way to the library?" People might respond with phrases like, "Go straight ahead," "Turn left at the corner," or "It's next to the supermarket." These phrases help you find your way in a new place and understand what others are saying. Practice this conversation. You say, "Excuse me, how do I get to the post office?" Someone replies, "Go straight and take the second left." "It's next to the pharmacy." You say, "Thank you for your help." These are great ways to learn how to ask for help and understand directions. Now let's go over phrases used for making suggestions or offers. You might say, "Let's go to the park," or "Why don't we watch a movie?" When offering help, say, "Can I help you with that?" Or, "Would you like some coffee?" These phrases are polite and friendly, and they help you join conversations and show kindness. Let's practice. You say, "Why don't we go for a walk?" Your friend says, "That's a good idea." Or you say, "Can I help you carry those bags?" And the person replies, "Yes, thank you so much." These phrases help you sound thoughtful and supportive in everyday situations. Next, let's talk about phrases related to traveling and checking into a hotel. When you arrive at a hotel, you might say, "I have a reservation," or "I'd like to check in, please." If you don't have a booking, you can ask, "Do you have any rooms available?" Or, "How much is a room for one night?" When checking out, say, "I'd like to check out," or "Can I get the bill, please?" These phrases are useful when you're on a trip. Let's practice a travel scenario. You say, "Hello, I have a reservation under the name Mia." The receptionist says, "Yes, welcome. Here is your room key." You ask, "What time is breakfast?" They reply, "Breakfast is from 7 to 10 a.m. You say, "Thank you." These are helpful expressions for enjoying your travels and staying in hotels. Let's now explore phrases for talking about the future. You can say, "I'm going to visit my parents next weekend," or "I will start a new job soon." When asking others, say, "What are you going to do tomorrow?" Or, "Do you have any plans for the holidays?" These future expressions help you talk about upcoming events and dreams. Practice with this conversation. You say, "I'm going to learn how to cook Italian food." Your friend says, "That sounds fun. I'm going to visit my grandparents." You reply, "That's nice. Have a great time." These types of conversations help you look forward and share your goals with others. Now, let's look at phrases that help you express your opinions and feelings. When talking about how you feel, you can say, "I'm happy," "I'm sad," or "I'm nervous." If you want to express a stronger feeling, say, "I'm really excited," or "I'm extremely tired." When talking about what you think, you can say, "I think this is a good idea," or "In my opinion, that's not fair." These expressions are useful in conversations where you want to share your thoughts or emotions clearly. Let's practice expressing feelings. You say, "I'm a little worried about the test tomorrow." Your friend says, "Don't worry, you've studied a lot." You reply, "Thanks, I hope it goes well." These simple phrases make it easier to talk about how you feel and help others understand you better. Using feelings and opinion phrases can also improve your emotional connections in English. Next, we'll explore phrases for shopping. When entering a store, you might say, "Hello, I'm just looking," or "Can you help me find this item?" If you want to try something, say, "Can I try this on?" Or "Do you have this in a different size?" When you're ready to pay, say, "I'd like to buy this," or "Can I pay by card?" If you need a discount, you can ask, "Is there a sale?" or "Can I get a better price?" These expressions are essential when shopping, especially in stores or markets where communication matters. Here's a shopping practice scenario. You walk into a store and say, "Hi, do you have this shirt in medium size?" The assistant says, "Let me check." "Yes, here it is." You ask, "Can I try it on?" And they reply, "Sure, the fitting room is over there." After trying it on, you say, "I'll take it. Can I pay by card?" These kinds of dialogues are helpful for shopping situations. Now let's focus on phrases you can use when making plans or appointments. If you want to invite someone, say, "Do you want to go out this weekend?" or "Let's meet for lunch." When agreeing, say, "That sounds great," or "I'd love to." If you need to change the plan, say, "Can we reschedule?" or "I'm sorry, I can't make it today." These kinds of phrases help you organize your schedule and communicate politely with others. Practice a conversation like this. You say, "Are you free tomorrow evening?" Your friend replies, "Yes, what do you have in mind?" You say, "Let's go to the movies." They respond, "Sounds great. What time should we meet?" You answer, "Let's meet at 6. This kind of conversation helps build good relationships and keeps your communication clear. Next, let's look at phrases used when meeting new people or introducing yourself. You can say, "Hi, I'm Mia. Nice to meet you," or "What's your name?" If you want to ask where someone is from, say, "Where are you from?" and respond with, "I'm from Canada," or "I live in New York." These basic introduction phrases are the building blocks for new friendships and conversations. Practice this scenario. You say, "Hello, I'm Mia." The other person says, "Hi, Mia, I'm Tom." You ask, "Where are you from, Tom?" He replies, "I'm from London." You say, "Nice to meet you." These introductions are common in all kinds of social settings and help you get to know new people easily. Now let's learn some phrases for expressing likes and dislikes. You can say, "I like reading books," or "I enjoy playing football." If you don't like something, say, "I don't like spicy food," or "I'm not a fan of horror movies." You can also use stronger phrases like, "I love this song," or "I hate getting up early." These expressions allow you to talk about your preferences and connect with people who share similar interests. Let's practice. You say, "I really like cooking." Your friend says, "That's great. What do you like to cook?" You reply, "Mostly pasta and rice dishes." They say, "Yum, I love pasta too." Talking about likes and dislikes is a fun way to learn more about people and practice using descriptive language. Now let's go over phrases you can use in a restaurant. When you arrive, you might say, "Table for 2, please," or "Can we sit by the window?" When ordering, say, "I'd like the chicken sandwich," or "Can I see the menu, please?" When you're finished, say, "Can we have the check, please?" or "That was delicious, thank you." These phrases make dining out easier and more comfortable. Practice a dining situation. You walk into a restaurant and say, "Hello, table for 2, please." The host says, "Right this way." You sit down and say, "Can I see the menu?" The server replies, "Of course. Here you go." After eating, you say, "Can we have the check?" And the server says, "Sure, I'll bring it right away." These common exchanges help you enjoy restaurant experiences more confidently. Let's now talk about phrases used when watching or talking about movies and TV shows. You can say, "Have you seen this movie?" or "I watched a great show last night." When giving your opinion, say, "It was really funny," or "I didn't like the ending." You can also recommend something by saying, "You should watch this," or "I think you'll enjoy it." These expressions help you join fun conversations about entertainment. Practice this short exchange. You say, "Have you seen the new superhero movie?" Your friend replies, "Yes, it was awesome." You say, "I agree, the action scenes were amazing." This way of talking helps you share experiences and opinions while practicing conversational English. Now let's go over phrases used when talking about time and schedules. You can say, "What time is it?" or "It's 3:30." If you want to make an appointment, say, "Can we meet at 5 o'clock?" or "Let's meet at noon." You might also hear, "I'm running late," or "I'll be there in 10 minutes." These are all useful when managing your time and planning your day with others. Let's practice a conversation. You say, "What time is our meeting?" The other person says, "It's at 4 o'clock." You reply, "Great, I'll be there on time." Or you can say, "I'm sorry, I'm running a little late." They reply, "No problem, see you soon." These time-related phrases help keep your communication clear and respectful. Next, let's explore phrases used in transportation and commuting. If you're at a station, you can ask, "Where is the train station?" Or, "Does this bus go to the city center?" When buying a ticket, say, "I'd like a ticket to downtown." Or, "How much is a one-way ticket?" If you're in a taxi, you can say, "Please take me to the airport." Or, "How long will it take to get there?" These phrases are useful when you're moving around or visiting a new place. Practice this example. You say, "Excuse me, does this train go to Central Station?" The staff member replies, "Yes, it stops there in about 20 minutes." You ask, "How much is a ticket?" They say, "It's $2.50. These common interactions are very helpful for anyone who travels by public transport. Let's now go over phrases related to daily routines. You might say, "I wake up at 7 a.m. I brush my teeth. I take a shower." Or, "I go to work at 9. Other phrases include, "I eat lunch at noon." "I go for a walk in the evening." Or, "I go to bed at 10. Talking about daily routines helps you learn useful verbs and practice present simple tense. Here's a practice routine description. You say, "I usually wake up at 6:30. I make coffee and read the news. Then I take a shower and get dressed. I start work at 9 and finish at 5. In the evening, I cook dinner and watch TV." Talking through your day in English helps you build fluency and structure. Now, let's look at phrases for talking about hobbies and free time. You can say, "I like to read in my free time," or "I enjoy playing the guitar." If someone asks you, "What are your hobbies?" you can answer, "I like painting and hiking." Other phrases include, "I spend time with friends," or "I like to watch movies on weekends." These are great for casual conversations. Practice a short exchange. Your friend says, "What do you do in your free time?" You reply, "I love playing video games and listening to music." They say, "That's cool. I like music too. Talking about hobbies is a fun and easy way to connect with others. Let's move on to phrases for expressing ability or possibility. You can say, I can swim, or I can't drive. For possibilities, you might say, it might rain tomorrow, or we could go to the beach if it's sunny. Other expressions include, I'm able to help you, or that could be a good idea. These types of phrases are useful for everyday decision making. Here's a practice situation. You say, can you help me move this table? Your friend says, sure, I can do that. Or you say, I can't come to the party tonight. They say, that's okay, maybe next time. These expressions help you communicate what you can or can't do clearly. Now let's go over phrases for asking for permission. You can say, can I use your phone? Or, is it okay if I sit here? Other polite ways include, do you mind if I open the window? Or, may I borrow your book? When someone asks you for permission, you can respond with, sure, go ahead. Or, I'm sorry, but that's not possible. Practice this situation. You ask, do you mind if I turn on the fan? The other person says, not at all. Go ahead. Or you say, can I leave a little early today? Your boss might say, yes, that's fine. Asking for permission politely is a great skill for social and work settings. Let's also talk about phrases for giving instructions or commands. You can say, please sit down, turn left at the corner, don't touch that, or listen carefully. These are direct and often used in classrooms, at work, or in emergencies. Being clear and polite with instructions is very important. Practice with a short example. A teacher says, open your books to page 10. You follow along. Or a friend says, take the second right and walk 2 blocks. You say, thanks, I'll do that. Practicing commands and instructions helps you give and follow directions better. Finally, let's review phrases for encouragement and support. You can say, good job, or well done. If someone is nervous, say, you can do it, or don't give up. You can also say, I believe in you, or keep going. These phrases are very supportive and help build positive connections. Practice this dialogue. Your friend says, I'm not sure I can finish this project. You say, don't worry, you've got this. Just take your time. They reply, thanks, that really helps. Encouraging others and accepting support in English is a key skill for teamwork and motivation. Let's now explore phrases used when you are at the doctor's office or in a medical situation. These can help you explain how you feel and understand what the doctor is telling you. You can say, I'm not feeling well, or I have a headache. You might also say, I feel dizzy, I have a sore throat, or my stomach hurts. When the doctor asks you questions, you might hear, how long have you been feeling this way? Or, do you have any allergies? You can respond with, it started yesterday, or I'm allergic to penicillin. These simple but important phrases allow you to communicate health issues clearly. Let's practice. You say, Doctor, I have a bad cough. The doctor replies, how long have you had it? You say, for about 3 days. The doctor says, do you have a fever? And you say, yes, I think so. These exchanges help you stay calm and communicate clearly during a visit to the doctor. Next, let's look at some phrases used in school or educational settings. You can say, I have a question. Can you explain this? Or, I don't understand. When participating in class, you can say, I think the answer is, or in my opinion. You can also hear phrases like, please turn to page 20, or let's do this exercise together. These expressions are helpful if you are studying or attending classes in English. Practice this example. The teacher says, let's start the lesson. You say, excuse me, I have a question. The teacher replies, go ahead. You ask, can you explain this part again? And the teacher says, sure, let me help you. These phrases make your learning smoother and your communication more effective in the classroom. Let's now go through phrases used at work or in a job interview. When greeting someone in a professional setting, say, nice to meet you, or thank you for taking the time to see me. If you're in a job interview, you might say, I have 5 years of experience, or I'm very organized and motivated. You might be asked, why do you want to work here? Or what are your strengths? Good answers could be, I enjoy working with people, or I'm good at solving problems. Let's practice. The interviewer says, tell me about yourself. You say, I'm a detail-oriented person with a background in customer service. The interviewer says, why did you apply for this job? And you reply, because I believe this company shares my values and goals. Practicing these dialogues builds confidence and prepares you for professional settings. Now let's move on to phrases used in emergencies. In urgent situations, you need to speak clearly and quickly. You can say, help, or call an ambulance. If someone is hurt, say, he's not breathing, or she needs help. Other important phrases include, there's a fire, call the police, or I need a doctor. These expressions are vital for staying safe and getting help when needed. Here's a practice emergency situation. You see someone collapse and say, help, call an ambulance. A bystander asks, what happened? You reply, he's not breathing. They call for help and stay with you. Practicing these situations helps you stay calm and use the right words when it really matters. Let's now go over travel-related phrases. When going through an airport, you can say, where is the check-in counter? Or, I'd like to check in for my flight. At security, you might be asked, do you have any liquids? Or, please take off your shoes. When boarding the plane, the staff might say, please show your boarding pass. Other useful phrases include, what time does the flight leave? And, is this seat taken? Practice this airport conversation. You say, excuse me, where is gate 12? The staff replies, it's down this hall to the right. You ask, is the flight on time? And they say, yes, it's boarding now. These phrases help make your travel smoother and less stressful. Now let's focus on phrases used in a hotel. When you arrive, you can say, I have a reservation, or I'd like to check in. You might be asked, can I see your ID? Or how many nights will you be staying? If you need something, you can say, can I have some extra towels? Or the air conditioner isn't working. When leaving, you say, I'd like to check out, or can I get the bill? Here's a short hotel example. You say, hi, I have a reservation under the name Mia. The receptionist says, welcome, may I see your ID? You give your ID and they reply, you're in room 205. Enjoy your stay. These interactions are common and help you feel comfortable in a hotel environment. Let's also cover phrases used when giving opinions in conversations. You can say, I think it's interesting, or, in my opinion, that's a great idea. If you want to agree with someone, say, I agree, or that's true. If you disagree, say, I'm not sure. about that, or I see it differently. These expressions help you express your thoughts clearly and respectfully. Practice a discussion. Your friend says, "I think watching movies at home is better than going to the theater." You reply, "I see your point, but I enjoy the theater experience more." They say, "That's fair. Everyone has their preference." These phrases help you build conversations and express different points of view in a friendly way. Let's now talk about phrases used when you are shopping for clothes or shoes. These conversations usually happen in clothing stores or shoe shops, and it's helpful to know what to say. You might ask, "Do you have this in a larger size?" Or, "Can I try this on?" If you like something, you can say, "This looks nice," or "I really like this color." If you don't like something, you can say, "It's too tight," or "This doesn't fit well." When you are ready to buy, say, "I'll take this," or "Can I pay by card?" These phrases will help you feel more confident when shopping in English-speaking places. Let's practice. You walk into a clothing store and say, "Hi, I'm looking for a jacket." The staff replies, "What size are you looking for?" You say, "Medium, please." They show you a few options, and you pick one and say, "Can I try this on?" After trying it, you say, "It fits well, I'll take it." Then you go to the counter and say, "Can I pay by card?" These phrases are easy to use and make your shopping experience smoother. Now, let's go over phrases used when you are out for entertainment, like going to a movie, restaurant, or concert. If you are going to a movie, you can say, "What's playing today?" or "I'd like 2 tickets for the 6 p.m. show." At a concert, say, "Where's my seat?" or "This is my favorite band." At a restaurant, you can say, "Can we have a table for 2?" or "May I see the menu?" When ordering food, say, "I'd like the chicken," or "I'll have the pasta." After your meal, you can say, "Can I get the check, please?" or "The food was excellent." These phrases are useful in many fun and relaxing situations. Let's practice a restaurant conversation. You walk in and say, "Table for 2, please." The host replies, "Right this way." After sitting down, you say, "May I see the menu?" The server brings it and asks, "What would you like to drink?" You reply, "Just water, thank you." Then you order your meal and later ask for the bill. These phrases help you have a smooth and enjoyable dining experience. Now let's talk about phrases used for giving and receiving directions. If you are lost or trying to find a place, you can ask, "How do I get to the train station?" or "Where is the nearest bank?" When giving directions, say, "Go straight," "Turn left at the corner," or "It's next to the post office." These are simple and very helpful when you are in an unfamiliar area. Practice this conversation. You stop someone and say, "Excuse me, how do I get to the museum?" They reply, "Go straight, then take the second right. It's next to the library." You say, "Thank you so much." They respond, "You're welcome." These common phrases are easy to learn and very useful in real-life situations. Let's go through some phrases that help you talk about your feelings. You can say, "I'm happy," "I feel sad," "I'm excited," or "I'm nervous." If someone asks, "How are you feeling?" you can reply, "I'm a little tired," or "I'm feeling great today." Expressing emotions in English helps you connect better with others. For example, you can say, I'm really looking forward to the weekend, or I'm worried about my exam. Practice describing your feelings. Imagine a friend asks, "How was your day?" You say, "It was good. I felt very relaxed." Or if you had a bad day, you can say, "I was a bit stressed out." These phrases allow you to express yourself more freely and build emotional connections with others. Now let's talk about weather-related phrases. Weather is a common topic for small talk. You might say, "It's sunny today," "It's raining," or "It's really cold." You can ask, "What's the weather like?" Or, "Is it going to snow today?" Talking about the weather is also a polite way to start a conversation with someone. Practice this short exchange. You say, "It's a beautiful day, isn't it?" The other person says, "Yes, it's perfect weather for a walk." Or you say, "Looks like it's going to rain." And they reply, "I'd better take an umbrella." These conversations are simple and can help you practice English naturally. Let's now go through some phrases for making phone calls. When you answer the phone, you can say, "Hello," or "Hi, this is Mia speaking." If you're calling someone, say, "Hi, may I speak to John, please?" Or, "Is this a good time to talk?" If you need to leave a message, say, "Can I leave a message?" Or, "Please tell him I called." When ending the call, you can say, "Thanks for calling," or "Talk to you later." Practice a phone call. You say, "Hello, may I speak to Sarah?" The other person replies, "She's not available right now." You say, "Okay, can you tell her I called?" They say, "Sure, I'll let her know." These types of phrases are helpful in both personal and professional phone calls. Now, let's go through some phrases you can use when talking about your hobbies and interests. These are useful when making small talk or getting to know someone. You can say, "I like reading," "I enjoy cooking," or "I'm interested in photography." If you want to ask someone about their hobbies, you can say, "What do you like to do in your free time?" Or, "Do you have any hobbies?" These phrases help start and maintain conversations naturally. For example, you can say, "In my free time, I like to go for walks." Or, "I enjoy learning new languages." Let's practice. Someone asks, "What do you like to do for fun?" And you reply, "I enjoy playing football and watching movies." Then you ask, "How about you?" And they say, "I love painting and listening to music." Practicing conversations like this helps you build confidence in everyday communication. Now let's explore phrases for invitations and making plans. You might say, "Would you like to go out for coffee?" Or, "Do you want to come to the party on Saturday?" To accept an invitation, say, "That sounds great," or "I'd love to." To decline politely, say, "I'm sorry, I can't make it," or "Maybe another time." If you're trying to arrange something, say, "Let's meet at 6 p.m." or "How about Friday?" These expressions are useful in social settings. Let's practice. You say, "Do you want to see a movie this weekend?" Your friend says, "Sure, that sounds fun." You reply, "Let's meet at the cinema at 7 p.m." These short exchanges are very natural and commonly used when planning activities with friends or coworkers. Now let's talk about phrases that are useful at the bank. When you walk in, you can say, "I'd like to open an account," or "I need to withdraw some money." If you want to ask a question, you can say, "What's the interest rate?" or "Can I get a new debit card?" These phrases help you manage your banking needs. When you finish, you can say, "Thank you for your help," or "I appreciate your assistance." Let's practice. You walk into a bank and say, "Hi, I'd like to open a savings account." The banker says, "Sure, I can help you with that." "Do you have an ID?" You say, "Yes, here it is." These short and simple conversations make your banking experience easier and more comfortable. Next, let's review phrases used when you are online or using digital services. You might say, "I can't log into my account," or "I forgot my password." When you need help, say, "Can you help me fix this issue?" Or, "The website is not working properly." When you solve the problem, you can say, "Thank you for your help," or "It's working now." These phrases are common. When dealing with technology and online platforms, practice this conversation. You call tech support and say, "Hi, I'm having trouble logging in." They reply, "Can you tell me your username?" You say, "Yes, it's Mia123." They help you reset the password, and you say, "Thank you so much. It's working now." These exchanges are helpful in today's digital world. Now let's focus on phrases used when visiting someone's home. When you arrive, you can say, "Thanks for having me," or "You have a lovely home." If you are hosting, you can say, "Make yourself at home," or "Can I get you something to drink?" When leaving, you can say, "Thank you for the nice evening," or "I had a great time." These polite expressions show appreciation and friendliness. Let's practice. You visit a friend's home and say, "Thanks for inviting me." They say, "Come on in." "Would you like some tea?" You reply, "Yes, please." Your home is beautiful. At the end of the visit, you say, "I had a wonderful time. Thanks again." These expressions make social visits more pleasant and respectful. Let's go over phrases used when dealing with problems or complaints. If something is wrong, you might say, "Excuse me, there's a problem," or "I'm not happy with this service." To explain the issue, say, "This isn't what I ordered," or "The product is damaged." If you are the one helping, say, "I'm sorry about that," or "Let me fix it for you." These expressions are helpful for resolving issues, calmly and politely. Practice this situation. You're at a restaurant and say, "Excuse me, this isn't what I ordered." The waiter says, "I'm very sorry. I'll correct it right away." You say, "Thank you. I appreciate it." These polite phrases help solve problems effectively and keep the conversation respectful. Now let's explore some phrases that are commonly used in the workplace. These are especially useful if you work in an English-speaking environment or communicate with colleagues in English. You might say, "I have a meeting at 10," or "Let's discuss the project." When asking for help, say, "Can you help me with this task?" or "I need some assistance." If you are giving an update, say, "Here's the latest update," or "We've made good progress." These phrases help maintain professional and clear communication. Let's practice. You start your workday by saying, "Good morning, everyone." During a meeting, you say, "Let's go over the agenda," or "We need to finish this report by Friday." After the meeting, you say, "Thanks for your time." These interactions are common in professional settings and help you participate confidently. Now let's go through some phrases for school or study situations. These phrases are great for students or anyone learning something new. You might say, "I have a test tomorrow," or I need to study for my exam. When you don't understand something, say, can you explain that again? Or, I'm not sure I get it. If you want to participate, say, I'd like to answer, or can I share my thoughts? These phrases encourage active learning. Let's practice. The teacher says, who knows the answer to this question? You reply, I'd like to try. Then you say, I think the answer is. Later you ask, can you explain that part again? These phrases are helpful in classroom settings and also in online learning. Now let's cover phrases used in emergencies. In difficult or urgent situations, you might say, call the police, I need help, or there's been an accident. You can also say, is everyone okay? Or please stay calm. If you are offering help, say, I'll call an ambulance, or don't worry, help is coming. These phrases are important and can save lives in emergency situations. Practice a quick emergency situation. You see someone fall and say, are you okay? They respond, I think I hurt my leg. You say, don't move. I'll call for help. These words are powerful when used in the right moments. Now let's talk about phrases you can use while traveling. At the airport, you might say, where is the check-in counter? Or what time is my flight? On a bus or train, ask, does this go to downtown? Or how much is a ticket? At a hotel, say, I have a reservation, or can I get a wake-up call? These expressions help you navigate new places with ease. Let's practice. You walk into a hotel and say, hi, I have a reservation under Mia. The front desk replies, welcome. May I see your ID? You say, sure, here it is. After check-in, you ask, what time is breakfast served? These simple questions help you manage travel smoothly. Let's now go through phrases for daily routines. These can help you talk about your day in English. For example, I wake up at 7 a.m. I go to work at 9, or I eat lunch at noon. To talk about your evening, you can say, I cook dinner, I watch TV, or I go to bed at 10. These help others understand your lifestyle and daily habits. Practice describing your routine. You say, I usually wake up at 6:30, then I make coffee and read the news. After that, I take a shower and get ready for work. Sharing your routine helps improve fluency and builds vocabulary. Now let's explore phrases related to personal goals and motivation. You can say, I want to improve my English, or my goal is to get a new job. You might say, I'm working hard, or I believe in myself. To encourage someone else, say, you can do it, or don't give up. These positive phrases keep you focused and inspired. Practice using these phrases. You tell your friend, I've been studying English every day. They say, that's great. Keep going. You reply, thanks. I won't give up. These short and powerful sentences can make a big difference in staying motivated. Let's now explore phrases related to shopping, which is an essential daily activity. When entering a store, you might say, I'm just looking, thank you, or can you help me find this item? If you are ready to buy something, you can say, I'll take this, or how much is this? If you want a discount, you might ask, is this on sale? Or do you have any offers? When paying, say, can I pay with a card? Or do you accept cash? These are simple yet essential phrases for a smooth shopping experience. Let's practice. You enter a clothing store and say, hi, I'm looking for a black jacket. The salesperson replies, sure, right this way. You ask, how much is it? And they say, it's $50. You reply, okay, I'll take it. Can I pay with a credit card? These phrases are very practical and used in everyday life. Now let's go over some phrases related to dining out at a restaurant. When you arrive, you might say, "Table for two, please," or "Do you have a menu?" If you're ready to order, say, "I'll have the pasta," or "Can I get the chicken sandwich?" If you have a special request, say, "No onions, please," or "Can I get this without cheese?" When the meal is over, you can ask, "Can I have the bill, please?" or "Do you accept cards?" These expressions help you enjoy your dining experience without confusion. Let's practice a restaurant scene. You walk in and say, "Table for one, please." After looking at the menu, you tell the waiter, "I'll have the grilled salmon." Later, you ask, "Can I have the check?" And the waiter brings it. You say, "Thank you. The food was delicious." This kind of conversation is very common and easy to practice. Let's now focus on phrases used when visiting a doctor. You might say, "I have an appointment at 10 a.m.," or "I'm not feeling well." If you need to describe your symptoms, say, "I have a headache," or "I've been coughing a lot." The doctor might ask, "How long have you had these symptoms?" You can reply, "For 3 days." After the consultation, you might say, "Thank you, doctor," or "Do I need any medication?" These phrases help you get the care you need. Let's practice. You arrive at the clinic and say, "Hi, I have an appointment with Dr. Smith." At the consultation, you say, "I've been feeling tired and I have a sore throat." The doctor replies, "I'll prescribe some medicine. Make sure you rest and drink plenty of fluids." You thank the doctor and leave. This interaction is important and comforting when you are not feeling well. Next, let's talk about phrases used in romantic or friendly relationships. If you want to compliment someone, you might say, "You look nice today," or "I really enjoy spending time with you." If you want to express feelings, say, "I like you," or "I love you." To show appreciation, say, "Thanks for always being there," or "I'm lucky to have you." In difficult moments, you might say, "I'm sorry," or "Let's talk about it." These phrases help build strong and caring connections. Practice this kind of conversation. You say to your friend, "Thanks for being such a good listener." They say, "Of course, I'm always here for you." Later, you might say, "I really appreciate your support." These small phrases mean a lot and make relationships stronger. Finally, let's look at some phrases you can use to end conversations or say goodbye. You can say, "It was nice talking to you," or "I'll see you later." If it's formal, say "Goodbye" or "Take care." If it's casual, say "See you soon" or "Catch you later." These simple endings make conversations smooth and polite. Practice ending a conversation. You talk to someone at work and say, "Well, I should get going now." They reply, "All right, take care." You say, "You too." "See you tomorrow." This is a natural and friendly way to finish a chat. Thank you so much for joining me today and practicing all of these useful English phrases. I hope you found this lesson helpful and that you now feel more confident using English in your daily life. Remember, the key to learning a language is consistency and practice. So don't be afraid to speak up, make mistakes, and keep going. Every phrase you use brings you one step closer to fluency. If you enjoyed this video and would like to keep improving your English with me, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new lesson. And if you found this lesson useful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend who's also learning English. Thank you again for watching and spending your time learning with me. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.